Welcome to Hardback Life. It's time for story, sass, and strong opinions. Let's turn the page. I'm Cassie.
I'm Becca. Today we have Sarah back with us. She featured on our 5-star book episode, and we got lots of positive feedback that Sarah was really funny in combination with the two of us. Like, it was a good flow.
Yes.
So she's back. Still not on camera, but that's okay.
Absolutely not, but thanks for having me.
What are you reading, Cassie and Sarah?
Finally reading The Wedding People, and I'm so excited because I've been on Libby on hold since May and then a bunch of arcs, but I'm really excited about it.
Have you started it?
Like, I think 25% through. So I got through the act.
What do you think of it so far?
That first 20% was a little bit hard to get through, but it was good. Like, I really enjoy the writing, and I'm excited to see, like, where it goes from here.
I need context. Why was it difficult to get through?
Because of my own mental health issues, probably.
The beginning is like they're animals that die and things that happen that are bad. And so
Yeah.
first 20% is it's real hard hitting. You're like, okay, cool. Just keep smacking me. This is great.
Yeah.
Awesome. It does get better.
That was your 5-star book, Sarah.
It was my 5-star book.
Hmm.
I'm curious to see what Cassie thinks by the end.
I'm enjoying it. I just hope, I hope good things are coming.
So much anxiety.
Yeah.
No, I liked that book because I felt like that the ending was like a very realistic ending. I think we
Mhm.
probably talked about that in the 5-star episode, or maybe we didn't, but that's why I really liked it because it wasn't an ending that you expected. It was just like a natural, yeah, this is like life. This makes sense.
That's also what makes it so hard is, like, that this probably has not the whole wedding part of it, but, like, that people have done what she had the intentions to do, and it's just sad.
Yeah, I know. It's such a good one.
Yeah.
Sarah, what are you reading?
I'm currently on T in the Sue Grafton. I don't know what to call them. ABC alphabet novels, whatever.
Yeah.
I read A like 8 weeks ago, and then I committed to doing the whole alphabet, so now I'm on T. So I'm almost done, which is sad because I really enjoyed them, and I don't know what I'm gonna read next.
I was gonna say she never got to write Z, right?
Right, she passed
Yeah.
away. She was like a quarter of the way through and then passed away.
Mm.
Yeah.
I am literally less than 5% to the end of House in Flame and Shadow.
How you can even I would have texted you and been like, "I need to put it off. Like, I can't record right now. I gotta finish the book."
Yeah, I'm really sitting on it. But I feel like I need to, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go on record with this, like before I finish the book. I was going to say, I think that it might beat Throne of Glass.
Yes, thank you. I
And
love that's like music to my ears. I'm so happy to
what's
hear that.
wild about that is like, I hated the first book.
I
And
know.
I'm still a hater on it. The second one was like Whiplash, so good. This last one, I don't know if it's like the time I'm reading it, the things that are going on in my life, or just that it's like absolutely
No.
freaking outstanding. There's so many like good themes and messages and
Mhm.
character development. It is absolutely top tier. I have no idea what some of our friends were talking about when they said that it was like, meh. Like,
I think this is such an underhyped, like, criminally
yeah,
underhyped series.
I agree.
So good.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I'm very excited to get to the end because shit
I'm so
has really
excited.
gone down and we're just like in the middle of it. So I'm
Yeah,
very excited to finish tonight.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Oh my gosh. Anything new in life, Sarah?
No. Thank you for asking, though.
All I've got today is Go Birds.
I was gonna wear my Eagle shirt, but I didn't, obviously.
Well, then you're not a true Eagles fan.
Well, here's the thing, I just became an Eagles fan because I grew up a Giants fan. The Eagles have really been pulling on my heartstrings, like, all of the things that they do for their community, and I love Jason. Sorry, but I do. He is the underrated of the brothers for sure.
Absolutely.
I love Jason. I everything they do for their community, and, like, just, like, stances that they take for their, you know, fans, I just love that. So
Dylan
they
and
moved
I
me.
Dylan and I were in the grocery store this afternoon or this evening, and two people shouted Go Birds at us,
I
or
love
vice
that.
versa. Like, it's just it's cool. It's a special little community. There
It
was a
really
guy
is.
One of them was in the grocery store, and he had on, like, a very similar jersey to me, but one of the other guy that yelled at us, we were, like, loading our car with, like, the groceries, and he's got, like, his, like, door propped open in the parking lot, and he, like, leans out, he goes, "Go Birds!" And I'm
I
like,
love that.
That's hysterical." So, alright, well, so today is fun. We asked Sarah to pick out books that she recommends for people working on their mental health. And for context, um, she is a licensed clinical professional counselor. I'm pretty sure that we mentioned that in the previous episode that we did with her. So her opinions are based on knowledge and experience in the field, I'm sure. And so we're really excited to hear what books she picked
Yeah.
and why she picked them. So yeah, I mean, obviously, we're both really big mental health supporters. Obviously, Sarah's a mental health supporter because she's, doing the work. So, yeah.
We don't think these conversations should only be had behind closed doors, you know? If you had a broken leg, you wouldn't pretend it didn't exist. You would get care for it. And I think that, there's care you do with specialized team, doctors, therapists, whatever, but there is work you can do at home too. And that does start with talking to people, but also books, I think, are a great step to help yourself.
I couldn't agree more. We're going to let Sarah kind of give her recs, and then we'll kind of go in a deeper dive into each of them. Maybe some of the psychological content behind it or the human side of the stories, highlight, maybe how those two blended together. So Sarah, we're going to give you the stage, and why don't you give us the recs that you picked that you wanted to highlight and talk about today?
Okay, so I picked 4 books. I think these 4 kind of encompass what I think about when I am recommending stuff to clients, when I'm recommending stuff to friends, when I'm trying to read things myself. As a clinical mental health counselor, I think I approach therapy with the humanness it deserves. And so these recs very much represent the human side of what mental health care looks like.
I think that that's a piece of the therapeutic relationship and the work that you do that people don't talk about enough is the human to human connection. It's not just about, I'm the therapist and you're the client and, kind I have the upper hand in things because I have the degree and blah, 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 because really the client is the one who's the expert of their life. And so I like the
Mhm.
humanistic approach to your picks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So why don't you hit us with all 4 and kind of just a brief what stood out to you, like why you picked them, and then we'll dive deeper into each of them.
Okay. So the first book I picked, I think you read this one, Becky. It's Maybe You Should Talk to Somebody by Lori
Yes.
Gottlieb. It's quick synopsis is it's written by a mental health professional, but it's also her therapy experience while going to therapy at the same time.
Oh, I
So you're
love
seeing
that.
both ends of the spectrum from one lens of somebody who's also a mental health professional. Lots of really great things in that book. Everybody should read it. It's also just there are funny moments and sad moments and moments that make you think. It's very real and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I did read that one. Correct me if I'm wrong. Were they real stories or was it like a fictional memoir style? Like I can't remember because I've read a couple that are pretty similar. I couldn't remember if it was like real clients, but she changed the names with their permission to
Yeah.
put.
I mean, yes, I think that that's what happened as these are
Okay.
real stories. However, they're given with permission, I assume, I hope, from whoever. So, but it's based on real stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cassie, you haven't read that one, have you?
No.
Okay.
I'm writing all the names down though because I will probably read all of them.
Because you take your friends' recs seriously.
I
Apparently,
do.
I do not.
I
Because
will
you
read
don't.
them without
You
even
don't.
looking up their reviews, Sarah.
That's how I know Cassie and I are meant to be friends and Becky's supposed to be voted off the island.
Sure, I brought the two of you to the island.
Right, but now the island is
Now you've been
full and
kicked off the
somebody's got
island,
to
so
go.
All
it's
right,
Survivor.
I'm gonna log off real quick. Okay.
Wait, don't do that because I don't know how to record anything.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm only
Okay, just
valuable
kidding.
because of my
You.
materialistic skills.
All right. My second book rec, Rebecca. This one is, I think it's probably going to throw people off a little bit, and I'm okay with that. But it's called Sociopath. It's a memoir by Patrick Gagney, who is an actual diagnosed sociopath. And
Mm.
it is her story from being young and all the things she experienced and not understanding what's going on to being diagnosed to working on her diagnosis to being married to relationships. It's just the whole span of what this diagnosis actually is and not what the world tells you it is. And it's really great and has a lot of really great mental health themes. I 10 out of 10 recommend.
I don't
That one's on my TBR. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one,
actually, that one
Cassie.
is on my TBR.
Yeah, I'm super excited to eventually get to that point. I think it's really powerful when people who have not only, a mental health diagnosis, but I think some of the diagnoses that are more on the, like, severe end that I think hold a lot more stigma, like mood disorders
Mhm.
or personality disorders, when people come out and write books and they're like, "Hey, like, I'm bipolar or I'm a sociopath or, I have borderline and I'm functioning and, like, I contribute to society and I have relationships that are successful." Like, I think that there's a big stigma behind these people, who have these diagnoses are crazy, which is obviously
Yeah.
incorrect.
Yeah, I think a big piece of the memoir, she talks a lot about like the stigma and the moral judgment inside of mental health and outside of mental health. And I think that's why I steer people towards this. A lot of people are scared to come to therapy. They're not sure what it's going to be. Or, we don't know what this is going to look like. And there's a lot of stigma that you should be able to pick yourself up by your bootstraps and be fine and move on. And so this is a really great example of overcoming stigma and moral judgments and still being able to find your function and your joy.
I think
Love
you
that.
worded that perfectly well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, hit us with the next one.
The next one's a little more clinical, Adult Children of Emotionally Immature
Yes.
Parents by Lindsay Gibson. Listen,
I've seen that one.
just read the book. All right.
Yes.
Everybody just read the book and or listen to it. It's on Audible. I hear it's a very lovely listening experience from some people. Just do it and then sit quietly with yourself and remember that it wasn't your fault and your parents did the best they did. And even though it wasn't good enough, they tried and just read the book. Okay. High five.
Real quick, Sarah definitely just high fived herself. I heard it
I
Yeah,
did.
when she said high five. Yeah.
I love that. Um, no, I feel like this is a perfect plug because Cassie has been trying to get Alex Warren's attention,
Yes, Alex
and
Warren, come on.
and there's a song that Alex Warren wrote in his recent album that he released, and it's called First Time on Earth. And basically, the premise of the song is that he realizes that his parents, like, this is also their first time on Earth as well. And he's like, I forgive you for all the pain that you passed down that, like, you didn't intentionally pass down. I'm like, this is your first time here existing too. And I can't, even though you're my parent, and there's that automatic sometimes expectation that the parent knows best. I'm
Mhm.
still, like, living my life at the same time too. Like, this is your first day being 18, like, well, this is my first day being 35, Like, I know that was bad math, but yeah, that's a song that I think perfectly
And you know what's
goes
so
along with that
funny
book.
is I thought the same like when she was talking, I thought the same exact thing. I was like, Alex Warren literally just talked about how it's everybody's first time on Earth, and so that's funny that we just like we're connected.
I know. I would highly recommend with that book. I've started it, I just haven't finished it.
Hmm.
I would recommend if you get the physical copy, there are, like, spots and activities to, like, write or, like, do checklists and things. So
Yeah.
probably not the best book to have on your shelf when your parents, like, visit your home. My therapist and I actually talked about that. She was like, "Yeah, like, I have it, but I hide it from my mom every time she comes over."
So funny.
Fun fact, though, with me, I was actually down in North Carolina visiting Sarah when I bought the book, and my mom was with me, and my mom bought me the book. She paid for it. I was like, she goes, "Actually, I could probably use that."
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is a good one. This is a good one to understand that parents are human. It's also a good one to sit with yourself and say, it wasn't my fault. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like this is what I grew up with and who I am is okay. And, we're going to figure it out. And I'm not alone in the way that I'm feeling. So it's
Love
a good
that.
one. Should recommend.
alright, what's the last one?
The last one is called Think Again: The Power of Knowing What You Don't Know by Adam Grant. Adam Grant is an organizational psychologist and does a lot of work in terms of like you think about a big company and the organization of the company. He understands the psychology of like leaders and followers and how everybody forms a team and how a group comes together and how the bottom affects the top and so on and so forth. And I was resistant at first to reading
Mm,
it when somebody gave it to me, but basically it's about owning what you don't know and being
mm,
okay with it. You know what I mean? Recognizing that There's a lot of emphasis in this world on conviction and certainty. Like, this is what it is, this is what it should be, and this is where we're going, instead of advocating for humility and emotional flexibility. You know what? This is what I thought, but now that I'm presented with new information, maybe I should think about it again. And I think this is a great reference in terms of just what's going on in the world today, understanding
Mhm.
that taking a pause and taking a step back is the difference between causing pain and understanding how to help the person in pain.
Um, I think that we live in a very emotionally reactive world, and so I think that that sounds like a very appropriate book because I think as a human community all over the world, especially right now, I feel like in our environment here in the United States, like, it's just an immediate reaction without people, like, thinking about what they're saying and who it's gonna affect, and obviously, like, at the end of the day, like, we aren't responsible for other people's, reactions, but, like, we should take into account, maybe just for a second, how it may be perceived by somebody else when we say something. So I think that that's a good rec.
I mean, it goes back to when we're kids and we're taught the little saying, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but
Mm,
words can never hurt me." But that's not true. Words can hurt more and have a longer lasting effect. And as a society, I'm not sure why we're taught that so young.
yeah, I think that words for me, I feel like turn into inner monologues for people.
Mhm.
And then eventually it's no longer other people's words. They become your own words that you've morphed. And or that's the energy that you're speaking to yourself. And then before you know it, like you're in the hole. So I would agree. Words, I think, hold way more power than a
Yeah,
stick.
I agree.
You're right. Your words become your inner monologue, and that inner monologue becomes your belief system. And once that belief system is in place, it is incredibly hard work. It is incredibly hard work to undo a belief system that has been banged into you for your entire life. And I think that this book does a really good job of just saying, like, listen, it's okay. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be this. It's okay to be that. Just like take a minute and think about it. So
I
I
love that.
agree.
I'm gonna put a
Okay,
star
so
next to that one.
yeah, really. So let's like deep dive a little bit into each of them. We'll start with Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by
mhm.
Lori Gottlieb. It's a 2019 memoir about her experiences as a therapist and as a patient in therapy herself, as Sarah said. The book provides a behind the scenes look at the therapeutic process, exploring the lives of several patients and Gottlieb's own personal challenges with the goal of normalizing therapy and encouraging self awareness and emotional freedom.
If somebody's new to working on their mental health, is this a book you would recommend them? Or is it more for people who have kind of more of an idea of what they're working on, if that makes sense?
No, I'd recommend it to people who have never been to therapy before or who are brand new to the process, because I think the book does a really good job of looking at it from the eyes of a therapist and the therapeutic relationship and what sessions look like and what change looks like, and kind of destigmatizes the fear that therapy can bring. But then on the other side, she also shows what it's like to be a client, what it's like to sit in front of somebody you've never met before. It's like the weird social experiment. Hi, I know we just met. Please tell me everything about you, including your deepest, darkest secrets. And so she does a really good job of tuning into what it can be like on that side, but the change that also occurs throughout the experience as she goes through therapy.
This is a really hot take, but I think that people who are therapists and don't at some point seek therapy themselves, I don't think they need to be in consistent therapy, but I think they should have experience with it. Sarah's program, when she went through school, required them to have a certain number of sessions
As
as the
the
client.
client. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I guess it's interesting. Like, you always hear the old, I don't know if it's saying or whatever, but like, all therapists go to therapy, I guess is like I don't know what you would call that, but like the
Like the status
stereotype
quo.
maybe. But I guess I've never really thought about therapists who haven't gone to therapy, because in my brain, somebody goes into therapy. Again, this is just my personal opinion, because they have a passion for mental health, which means at some point they would have had to work on I would think they would have had to work on their own mental health, whether that's because somebody in their life struggled, but they watched it, they should probably still seek help understanding as like an outsider, or they had their own personal struggle and needed help getting through those. Like I guess I just assumed that they had their own.
Sarah, I'd be curious to hear your opinion on this, but I feel like majority, I think, of the community probably has their own experiences and their passion with mental health, whether it was a family member who was affected by mental health or it was them personally that was affected by mental health. I think most therapists have a connection to emotions and feelings and, something that they've gone through, or like I said, a family member or whatever. But there is this population out there that I think gets caught in the psychology realm of things. And then that's just kind of the path they take. And there isn't like a prior catastrophe or trauma or history of mental health or whatever. I don't know what you think, Sarah, but
No, I think a lot of people who work in the mental health field in general, whether you're clinical, non-clinical, whatever it is, my guess is that they've had some kind of experience
mhm.
as a client, but there are a few who were in my program that didn't and did it based more on the scientific side of things and the research side of things. And there's 100% a place for that. But that is the place for that is like PhD and teaching and,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Researching and really backing up the data that really helps inform us as the clinical counselor, you know what I mean? To be able to create change for these clients. And so,
I think the hardest part too is that a lot of the people who are really like research based and probably go on to get, their PhD and they teach and things like that. There's, I'm sure, a portion or pressure in the field to have experience as the therapist. Because if you're going to go and you're going to do the research and you're going to be in the mental health community, like you kind of need to know what that looks like. It's
mhm,
almost kind of, I feel like, why are you a principal if you've never been a teacher type of
right,
thing.
Yeah.
right.
And I think that that's
Yeah,
like
kind of what I was feeling.
and I think that what stinks about that is I think there are people out there who are just very passionate about research and, getting, as much higher education as they possibly can. And they're kind of like pushed into it and they're
Mhm.
not like, that's not their passion. And so I think that's where like we're falling short, where I understand, but also so.
That's fair.
But yeah, I guess to round back, I also have read this book, the Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, and I would say I would also recommend it to somebody who has never been to therapy because it's really not clinical because it's a
Okay.
memoir.
Yeah.
And so it's not like a nonfiction book, Yeah, it's definitely does not take a clinical standpoint. It's like Sarah said kind of early on, very raw human experiences. And so I think that that's why I would support Sarah in the fact that it's a good rec for like anyone to read. So the next one we're going to talk about is Sociopath, a memoir by Patrick Gagney.
Yeah. I believe
Yes.
that's how you say it. Yeah.
Okay. And the formal summary of this is a nonfiction account of the author's life as a high functioning sociopath, which Sarah obviously mentioned earlier. It details her journey of self discovery, the challenges of her emotional disconnect from others, and her efforts to create a fulfilling life while navigating a world that views sociopaths as villains. Kind of what I touched on earlier of like we have this stigma or this idea of people who are sociopaths or struggle with higher needs mental health
Mhm.
challenges. And so I appreciate that she's also a psychologist and that she shares her perspective on the misunderstood condition because she's also in the field, which again, another level of showing that somebody who has this diagnosis or identifies this way like can work in the field
Mhm.
and can contribute to society.
Sociopath is a big diagnosis. Oh, sorry. How effectively does this book explain the complexity of sociopath to a non-clinical audience?
Also, before she answers that question, can you just give us a general gist, Sarah, of what a sociopath is?
Such a good idea.
So we actually don't use the term sociopath. It's antisocial personality disorder,
Okay.
which clinically is a pervasive pattern of disregard and violation of the rights of others. Individuals diagnosed with ASPD exhibit at least three of the seven key behaviors, including failure to conform to laws, deceitfulness, impulsivity, irritability, aggressiveness, reckless disregard for safety, consistent irresponsibility, and lack of remorse.
I think it's interesting to talk about this because obviously, we're talking about this book and we're going to talk about how she portrays this diagnosis. But for context, I'm pretty sure Ted Bundy was antisocial or had a diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder. And so it's
Yeah.
crazy that you can see the difference of the spectrum, like obviously Ted Bundy had some other things going on, but antisocial personality disorder, in Ted Bundy versus somebody who is a psychologist and a functioning member of society and wrote a book. So I think that that was worth highlighting because it's a spectrum. I think all diagnoses are a spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, I think just comparing the two, like, there are good humans with no diagnoses and there are bad humans with no diagnoses, and being
That's so
a
true.
human is such a spectrum.
Yep.
So on that, how do you feel like that she appropriately discussed identifying as a sociopath and, like Cassie said, kind of from somebody who's from a non-clinical standpoint, is it an appropriate representation? Like if somebody were to pick up this book and then go, oh, like I know more about what it is to be a sociopath.
I think again, it's one that anybody could read who is okay reading it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not good. There's no warning. I'm not going to put anything like that on there. But sometimes you're not in a space where you can read a mental health book. And this book right here, this memoir, she's very honest and does a very good job of talking through, self awareness and what a personality disorder is, stigma, like we talked about, the role of environment in terms of your
Mm,
trauma and your diagnosis as you go from childhood into adulthood. Talks a lot about empathy and what it means to be empathetic. And I think everybody could probably use some more training on the empathy front.
Yeah.
And then it also just talks about what treatment in psychiatry looks like, and kind of just tells her story and how hard it was for her to even be diagnosed because back in her day, we didn't talk about anything like this. This wasn't a thing. It's good.
Do you know off the top of your head, Sarah, if not, no big deal, how old she is?
I don't, but I can look it up.
It's not that big of a deal.
I want to say she's in her 50s. Oh, God. Hold on. 48.
48.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry because I already forgot the long term that you said, antisocial
Personality
personality
disorder.
disorder.
Yeah.
Okay. I know some diagnoses, they wait until a certain age to put a label on. Is
Hmm.
there one for this where
Yeah.
they would rather wait?
Yes. 18.
18.
Yeah, it's not official until you're 18.
Okay.
Signs and symptoms, of course, throughout the development in childhood into adolescence, but 18 is the marker.
My last thought on this book is moving forward and people kind of coming out and telling more of their story. I think that this is the kind of emotionally raw book that I'm looking for, of somebody who can really step up and say, like, I've struggled with this really big diagnosis, or even if it's not a really big diagnosis, like just somebody coming out and being like, hey, I struggle with depression. Here's what it looks like for me. And being able to just like tell the story. Because, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, every diagnosis I think has a spectrum. And so, like, what
Mhm.
depression is to me may not be what depression is to Cassie or Sarah. And we may experience it differently. Um, or we may move around the spectrum. And so I think that that's probably what stands out as most powerful for this type of this.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree.
We can play the game. Let's do that.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
So, I didn't just do like a mental health game because I don't really think there's a game for that, but it's called
The game
I
is
don't really
the
know.
the game is of life. That's the
Yes.
mental health game.
Just
Life.
surviving every day is the game. So it's called Page One, Line One. And I'm going to read you the first sentence or two for some of them because some were too short. And then
Hmm.
you have to guess what the genre is. Would you keep reading the book based on that first sentence? What the vibe is?
Okay.
Anything you can guess. I did put in two mental health books, but I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to read them. All right, ready?
Okay.
I've been on this spirituality self-help journey for a while now. I'm not sure exactly where Luna's Twilight Tarot and Healing Art Shop falls on the spectrum of spirituality, but I am here to embark on the unexpected. What are you
Sarah, I'm gonna let
thinking?
you hit that one first.
Is
I
this
have
like
all the
one of
books.
those pumpkin pie genres that are like
No.
pretending to be mental health?
Have I
In
ever
pie
read
Do you know what
genres.
I'm
the
talking
Pumpkin
about?
Spice Cafe or whatever? No, I've
No.
never. No. No, no, no.
I don't know. I don't want to know. No, thank you.
I think Sarah was immediately turned off as she heard tarot
Tarot.
and all of that.
So
I
Sarah
forget what
would
else you
not
said.
Not that I
continue this
don't
book.
believe to each their own. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
I mean, it's not your thing, but you still let me read for you.
Fair. You're
Mhm.
welcome.
It's always been pretty productive. I feel like this sounds like somebody who is like newly exploring that side of spirituality and doesn't feel like maybe that falls in that category. So I would be interested to know a little bit more context, but I don't know if I'm totally sold.
You're both wrong.
Yeah.
It's a fantasy about the tarot cards, though.
What the
Uh-huh.
fuck?
I really enjoyed it. So I
Wow.
think so far the author has this one out, The Lovers, and maybe one or two others. I forget.
What's the book for people who are listening
It's
and not watching?
so sorry. The Empress by Kristen Cast. I really enjoyed it. The names and stuff were all named after the tarot cards, but
Mm.
you know, that was kind of it as far as that goes. And like the
Wow, I would have
faces
thought that
are
was
all.
I would have thought that was a more nonfiction vibe.
I know. I really try.
So
I
deceiving.
threw this one in because the first line does feel like that, and I was
Okay.
like, maybe I'll
All
pick
right.
them.
Hit us with the next
Okay.
one.
When I am explaining the neurobiology of grief, I usually start with a metaphor that is based on a familiar experience.
I can guess this. Is it the grieving brain?
It is the grieving brain.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Look at that. I haven't read it yet, though, guys.
I've also not read it yet, but
I have it.
it's on my shelf, so that's why I figured that that's what it was. And your therapist recommended that to you, right?
Yeah, she told me to get it. It's not that I haven't wanted to read it. We found it over the summer while we were visiting Sarah. So like I've just had book after book since then. So, all right, ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is an old saying about stories and how there are always three versions of them: yours, mine, and the truth. The guy who first said it worked in the film business, but it holds true for journalism too.
I mean, I think I'm intrigued just by there's always your story, my story, and the truth. Because I
Mhm.
think that shows that not one side is correct because everybody perceives
Yeah.
situations differently and also views the world differently. So, from a mental health standpoint, that does have me interested. Sarah?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I struggle with this game because I always need more than one. Like, I
I know.
need more than just the ones. I need like a chapter, 50 pages,
Oh,
and then I'll let you know.
So
Mm,
this
it's not part
was.
of the game, Sarah.
Do you have
I'm
a guess on the
sorry.
genre?
Self help?
Okay, Sarah?
Horror? I don't know.
Nope.
I'm dead.
It's Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry.
Sorry, Emily Henry. I hear great things about your books. But
Shout out to my friend Angie. She listens to every episode. She gave me that book for Books and Roses Day last year.
Oh, thanks, Angie.
Okay,
All right. Do you have one more?
I have two more.
Okay.
Okay. There was no possibility of taking a walk that day. We had been wandering, indeed, in the leafless shrubbery an hour in the morning. But since dinner, Mrs. Reed, when there was no company, dined early. The cold winter wind had brought with it clouds so somber and rain so penetrating that further outdoor exercise was now out of the question.
I'm out. I have no idea what you just said.
hold on. Hold on. Go read it again.
There was no possibility of taking. Are you Siriing me or something? Like you're
No,
holding me up
no,
to
no, no.
Siri.
Just read it again. Read it again. Read it again.
There was no possibility of taking a walk that day. We had been wandering, indeed, in the leafless shrubbery an hour in the morning. But since dinner, Mrs. Reed, when there was no company, dined early. The cold winter wind had brought with it clouds so somber and a rain so penetrating that further outdoor exercise was now out of the question.
That's Jane Eyre, right?
It's Jane
Yeah. I read it a lot in high school.
Eyre. Love
Yeah.
Jane Eyre.
hmm
Nicely done.
Yeah. That's why I had to read it
Yeah,
twice because I was like, I know things.
That's
Where do
cool.
I know things from?
I love Jane Eyre.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. All right, Cassie, hit us
All
with
right,
the last
last
one.
one. If you're struggling to change your life, achieve your goals, or feel happier, I want you to hear this. The problem isn't you. The problem is the power you unknowingly give to other people.
I'm going to not comment because that felt a little too close to home.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, it's mental health is the
It is a
genre.
mental
Yeah,
health.
it's got-
Yep,
Okay.
it
mean,
is.
I'm curious.
I'm very excited to read this.
The let them theory.
It is the let them theory. Yeah, it is the let them theory. I'm super excited. A bunch of
Mine's
people
almost available on Libby, so I'm hoping that it's ready by the time I finish. Well, I'm gonna finish House of Flame and Shadows tonight, but that's the
yeah.
next book that I'm gonna do.
So I guess Mel Robbins also has a podcast.
She does.
I don't know if it's called the same thing, but a couple people at my work are currently reading it, and they'll be like, "All right, my podcast told me today that I have to say only positive things," and like they'll go around and tell people like what it's saying. So I'm excited to read this one.
Yeah, I'm really excited to read it. Sarah and I have talked about it a couple times, and she's like, "I'm not sure if I'm gonna read it. I don't know how I feel, but I want to read it. I want to see what the hype's about. I want to see if it's
I
worth
mean,
it."
just those first couple sentences I do feel like
Yeah,
is a struggle for me. Like I determine my self-worth off of what other people think of me for sure. So I do think it'll be a good one for me.
that's very vulnerable for you to admit out loud.
I mean, like I said, I don't think mental health should be a closed door conversation, and I'm very open about mine because I think hopefully it'll make somebody else open about theirs.
Breaking the stigma.
Working on it.
All right. Well, with that, let's return to our last two books. So the third book Sarah wrecked was Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents.
So, this book provides deep insight into the often overlooked psychological wounds carried by individuals raised by emotionally unavailable, inconsistent, or self centered parents. As a clinical psychologist, Gibson draws from both clinical experience and psychological theory to offer readers a practical, compassionate guide to recognizing emotional neglect and healing from the invisible scars it leaves behind.
Is this a book you can generalize? Like, if
Yes.
you have parents that were emotionally
Yes.
immature or unavailable,
Yeah.
could
Yes.
you generalize this to friends and lovers and ew,
Yes.
lovers? I hate that.
Lover.
Fucker.
Cassie. All right, listen, Cassie.
Friends and
We're not talking
lovers.
about Freud. Goodness gracious. Let's move on. It is a book you can generalize. It's a book anybody can pick up and anybody can read and go, "Oh, I understand that and I experienced that. And this is why it happened. And it didn't mean that I was at fault and that my parents didn't know what they were doing, but didn't have the emotional capacity to tell me that. And instead they got mad at me. And that's why I get mad at my kids. And that's why I get mad at other people. And that's why my love language is physical touch and words of affirmation. You know what I mean? It just like it helps kind of
Mhm.
explain what happened and how we get to where we are every day.
It's
Okay.
it feels important to also note that like don't go buy this book and then like approach your family and be like, "This is why you're messed up."
Yeah, yeah, I might not do that
Like
either.
that. I I would just use it as a personal reflection tool. Like, don't give this for a Christmas gift.
I'm not a professional or anything, but I don't think that would go well
No.
for anybody involved.
Nope. I don't think so either. All right. Well, the last one, which this was the only one that you wrecked that I didn't have familiarity with.
Yeah.
Adam Grant's Think Again is a book about the importance of mental flexibility, arguing that the ability to rethink and unlearn is as crucial as intelligence for success in a constantly changing world. He explores how cognitive biases and a desire for consistency can lead us to cling to outdated beliefs. He encourages readers to adopt a scientist mindset characterized by humility, curiosity, and a willingness to test hypotheses, rather than falling into the preacher, prosecutor, or politician mindsets. The book provides practical strategies for challenging your own views, constructively engaging with different perspectives, and fostering a culture of continuous learning and adaptation in both personal and professional life. Actually, this sounds like a really good book.
Yeah, it does.
It is. It's really great. And one of my favorite things about the book is that he does a really good job of exploring how closely we as human beings tie our beliefs to our identity when those
Mm,
are two separate things. And when our beliefs become our identity, there's no room for anything else. There's no room for different thought. There's no room for different evidence. This is just what it is. And so he does a really good job of explaining how it happens and how to disrupt it and get in the way of it
I
happening.
also I also feel like too that a really standout phrase of that summary for me is I think a lot of the times we go into therapy thinking that it's going to fix us, you know?
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
we go into a doctor's office and we want them to, give us a medicine or give us a treatment or give us a surgery, to fix the problem, which sometimes that's valid in the medical field, but when it comes to mental health, I think I struggle with that term of like, fix me. And so I like the verbiage of rethink and unlearn. I think
Mhm.
that that fits better than like, "Oh, well, you fixed me." Like, "No, I'm not gonna fix you, but let me help you rethink things that have happened to you or unlearn old patterns that developed consciously or subconsciously that you don't want to have impact your life anymore." And I think that that can be a powerful kind of reframe.
Yeah, I like that. I agree. I think word choice is very important, especially with
Yes.
mental health. So I agree with you, like the power of unlearning and, rephrasing things rather than fixing it.
Yeah. 110%. Sarah, what did you rate all these books? Were they all 5 stars for you or
I think so. Yeah, I believe
okay.
so.
So Sarah, it doesn't really go with the books, but just like one last question. What would you like to see more of in future mental health books?
Mm.
Do you like the mix of more stories with the science, or do you like them separated, or something else totally different?
I like the mix because I think the science allows people to maybe change their mind or see something new. And the storytelling from the client allows them to not feel lonely or scared because somebody else has gone through this and they know. And they're going to help you through it as well by reading this book.
Like that answer.
Killing it, Sarah, every day.
Hmm.
Well, here I am. High five.
Well, thanks so much for coming on and chatting about your Rex and mental health. This is such like an important topic, and so I'm
Yeah,
excited that we get to release another episode because we have Breaking the Stigma where we talked about Reasons to
Mm,
Stay Alive by Matt Haig, and that got a lot of traction.
it
So
did.
I think it's important to Cassie and I. Obviously, we like our fairy smut, but I think it's also important to incorporate conversations about things like this
Hmm.
because this is really what reading is for, is to open your world and change your worldview and yeah, just like have you take a second to breathe and like look at everything differently in life. So
Yeah.
thanks so much for being the person that we can chat with about it.
yeah. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Always a good time.
Well, check out our social media platforms. We have an Instagram. We have a YouTube channel. We're on
TikTok.
Spotify. We've got a TikTok. We're all over the place. The Instagram, I would say, is probably the one-stop shop. We do have a website, but we're working on updating it. All right. Well, until the next chapter, stay cunning, stay brave, and remember, you are your own high lady.
Bye bye.